Okay, Shelby, we're not there yet. Okay. Okay, Shelby's on his way in, but we'll go ahead and start. I'd like to call the Butler Community College Board of Trustees regular board meeting for Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. to order. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There he is. I announced that you were on your way in. Okay. Shall we get settled for a second? Okay. Do you have, or not you, but approval of agenda is next. Are there any changes, proposed changes?
Madam Chairman, I would like to move under G, under personnel, the sabbatical leave requests. I'd like to move all three of those over to 9 board action items, which would be
9C.
C would be Sater, C would be Tubner, and E would be Trinary.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, would you please take a vote?
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart. Trustee Rhodes is absent. Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, any other adjustments to or amendments to the agenda?
I let Linda know when I first got here. I have to leave at 7. I have to be in West Wichita at 8. So no offense, Ken, if you're talking maybe a little shorter, that'd be great.
He said
Okay.
today that it was not gonna be as long as
Okay,
it's
I was
listed
just like,
here.
Okay.
yeah,
We can have Jennifer set a timer.
okay, let's,
Okay,
Short
with
note.
that, I'll move to approve
yeah,
to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
yes,
trustee Rhodes is absent. Trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay,
Took me longer to
next
get it out than to vote.
is recognitions. Page 3.
I think my battery's, but it's flashing green and red. So can I use your microphone for a second? Is that okay? Can I do that? So I'm going to sit here so I can be on the microphone. Want to recognize Mark Emerson. Mark's here back in the back row. And then Emmanuel Odom is here, I think, as well. If I can see through the crowd, there we go. Mark, we're super proud of both of these folks, but the United States Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association for the NJCAA at the D1 level named Mark as the Women's Cross Country Coach of the Year for the Central Region. So we're really excited about that. And Emmanuel was named, same organization, named the Central Region Men's Athlete of the Year. So congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah, we're really proud. They, like with all of our.
Yeah, get out of here. Thank you.
Right. Coaches have a huge responsibility, when they're out with our student athletes and out at other institutions and around the conference and even around the nation. And, takes great leadership, besides the fact that it takes great athletes that are very skilled. So we're proud of you and really proud of your accomplishments and the way that you folks represent Butler. So thanks so much. Congratulations.
Yep.
I also want to, we recognized last month Kelly Snedden and Jennifer Green Miracle for their work with the Build My Future event at Century 2. They've sent us a number of other folks that help volunteer. It doesn't come off with just 2 people. And so you can see in your board book, and Kelly, can I give these to you? Because we've got some people here. I'll let you hand some of these out for me. If that's okay. So Avery Nelson, we have Tom Borrego is here. We want to say thank you. Jessica Ullman helped. Larry Posoak is here. Jeremy Brewer, Todd Williams, Julio Guerrero, Daniel Higdon is over there as well. Chip DeFrand, Peter Linden, Jonathan Elliott, and Martisha Cooper. So it took an incredible crew of people. And I think if you remember right, you know, the first event 2 years ago was a nice event, but if you remember from last month, the change in size and the number of schools represented from across the state, this is a big effort. And Kelly, I dropped the ball because I was going to have Jennifer play a little video clip, you know, that you guys sent us for marketing. So I'll forward on that link for you, but it's just a nice video clip. There's Butler people in every one of those portions of that. So thank you for your great effort. Again, you know, puts Butler front and center in this whole area, and super opportunity for middle school age kids, high school age kids, right, to do some hands-on kinds of things and get some firsthand experience and exposure to some of the trades. And so pretty cool. So thank you folks for all your great effort. And then my last is Mary Martha has a birthday on the
I
14th.
do, and it's the big one. And so
It's a big one, huh?
it's the big one.
It's the big one.
Facelift is coming soon, folks.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Are you entering a new century too?
I mean, excuse me?
A new decade?
Oh,
Yes,
a new century.
decade. A new decade.
Be careful there, Dave.
I am going to get that facelift now.
Well, I do too in about a month.
I'll make no comment. So with that, I'd like to, no,
Oh, you have-
Barry gave me his.
Okay.
Okay, so I would like to at this time do another recognition, and that is of Dr. Kroll.
Oh.
No.
Who, I don't know if I can do this, but so we appreciate everything you've done.
Well, thank you.
And we just hope you enjoy that baby and all the wonderful things that come with retirement.
Well,
So-
thank you so much, you guys. It's been great to work with you and
This gift,
oh my gosh. what's this?
something big,
I know. Wow.
but thank you so much.
Well,
And,
none of this happens without a fantastic team. You know, faculty and staff and students and community members and donors and trustees. It's a group effort and so important that we all have that ability to work together and keep our focus on students and their success. So thank you all. Oh, man. Oh, this is beautiful. Wow. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is stunning. Thank you. Thank you so
Oh.
much. Oh, this will be treasured. I love it.
Thank you, Dr. Kroll.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
And
very
we
much.
also have another.
Oh
gift
my
for you.
gosh, full of gifts.
And this is from the trustees.
Well, thank you.
There's a card that came unattached.
Okay. Shall I open this one now too?
Oh, sure.
Yes. Hi, this is like Christmas. Oh. This is Jennifer Calloway.
Dr.
Look
Kroll
at
had
that.
mentioned she didn't have one.
Oh.
That's
I love her
beautiful.
block prints.
Oh. He is such a talented.
I have a number of her prints at home, so this will just go right in my collection. Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys are wonderful.
And what day is the last day?
January 6th.
What day is that on?
It's a Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the same day that Jackie starts. So, yeah, I have Including today, 12 working days left.
Just counting down. Okay. So, as of now, did we have any public comments? We didn't have any turned in. If none, we'll move on to standing reports. And we'll go to operational staff report.
Neil and I are going to do this one together. Yeah.
Well, start off, we are, pantry drive for, the government, food pantry, student government food pantry ended yesterday. And it was a tie. And it was a legitimate tie between operations staff and the professional employees.
It's hard to count products of different sizes and shapes, so we said the boxes are the same amount full.
So it was a tie. So we appreciated everybody's support with that, and we're excited to help out our students. So.
And I also think on behalf of the faculty and the ops staff, professional employees as a whole and ops staff, I say faculty all the time, technically advisors and counselors are faculty for us also. But we all appreciate that you guys are in these positions voluntarily, and we really do appreciate that the time and the effort that you spend on behalf of Butler. You can be doing other things with your time. So thank you.
Yeah.
And Butler Community College Education Association did get you a little something for Christmas, and Zach's gonna help me pass these out.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I think you guys want to put on my coat? Ooh, Sam Fudge, thank you.
Have you had it before?
Yeah, he's downtown
I have
Augusta.
not, but I have
It's very good.
that it is pretty good.
Uh-oh. Well, there goes my sugar numbers.
I have to
Thank
say,
you.
I did underestimate. I overestimated the cost of fudge, so I think there's a lot there.
My kids thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Board Finance Committee report.
All looked well. Numbers are up for enrollment. So not much to report. That's it.
Okay,
Thank you, Katrina. We had our audit presentation this year. Michael Gruber, who's the partner in charge of Forbes, was our came and reported on the audit and just gonna have a clean opinion. He gave us just a draft. He said you have to clean up. So we're gonna have an audit with a clean opinion, no findings that we'll have to deal with. And the numbers on the front part of the budget, which is what we call the gap presentation, not the cash basis, but the full accrual basis. The net position was up about 2.7 million, but it was up that much partly because of the foundation gift of the Redler building, which is over $4 million. So our cash did go down, and we'll talk more about that when we get into the cash basis budget presentation and later today and then next month when we start talking about the 26th year. But overall, it was a clean budget, clean audit, and we're very pleased about that.
okay, Foundation Board report, and do you have anything, Kim, or Tom?
Yeah, just a couple of things. The Foundation met on October 22nd. We presented the finance report, and the portfolio performance was up from last June when we reported last. It's the Bank of America portfolio is 17,416,292, which is an increase of a little over $1 million. The market's doing really great. We also had our audit report presented. Everything looked fine. There was nothing that was unusual. We have 2 assets still on the books. The land adjacent to the Redler Institute, which is valued at $143,931. And the sale of assets from an estate that it's valued at $137,798. The audit made note that the loan used for the Redler a project was paid off in the prior fiscal year, so all that's taken care of. So all that remains is a 234,000 balance with Commerce Bank for a short-term loan to bridge the pledge payments that'll be coming in over time. So the net assets right now for the foundation are at 20.1 million, with most of those assets having donor restrictions. Financials look good. Revenues on track last year, with the total revenue up almost 1.6 million for basically the investment and interest on the investments. And that's all we had.
Okay, Educational Facilities Authority report, Dave.
We didn't meet last month and this month that we're not meeting, so I think all we're doing is paying the monthly bills.
Okay. AACC quarterly meeting report.
We don't have the official report yet from Heather, so Dr. Vietti will present that next month. The meeting was last Friday and Saturday morning in Parsons at Lobet Community College, so she'll provide the official update. But good meeting.
Okay, and then the president's report.
Thanks. We had a great visit with Senator Moran, quick visit, 45 minutes or about an hour, I guess, maybe on the 25th. Dave was able to join us to tour around campus and Aaron greeted us toward the end of the tour back in the Welcome Center. We popped over to nursing and then went over to welding and auto tech and stopped in the gym. And it was great because BCTV Plus had, put his picture up on a big, one of the big screens and stuff, and he was teasing us because it was a picture from a few years ago. And so, but
But
it was great.
he did take
Yeah,
a picture of
yeah.
it so that he could use it in campaign.
Yeah, it was great to have him on campus. He is a tremendous supporter of higher ed in the right way for Kansas, and always is looking for ways to help us and asking what our needs are and supporting the great work that we do. And so it was great to have him on campus. We also hosted Senator Mike Fagg, Senator Richard Wilborn, Representative Sandy Pickert last week for our legislative luncheon. Dave was able to attend that as well. Heather Morgan was here and discussed some of the community college initiatives and concerns, maybe if you want to put them that way as well, for the upcoming legislative session. And then each of the legislators had a chance to talk about, kind of what they do and maybe a brief idea of what, some of their thoughts are on the upcoming session. We had a number of deans and vice presidents and AVPs there, associate deans. And so it was a nice gathering, a good chance to get together and at least be able to put our, issues in front of them before the session starts. All of them serve on a variety of committees, and that's really where their focus is on those committee contents. And so lots of times, if they're not on education or they're not on, higher appropriations or something like that, they have to rely on other people to help keep them informed. And so it was a great opportunity to meet with them. Again, the KACC quarterly meeting update will be next month. The next meeting will be in April in Topeka. And it's always kind of a joint meeting, but an opportunity to celebrate our All Kansas PTK scholars. And so I'll get that date on the calendar for you folks. This week on Thursday, we have our employee holiday luncheon, which is always a wonderful celebration to invite our employees in for a great Western dining holiday lunch and just enjoy some time to relax and visit with each other. Finals are, for most people, are over, for most of the faculty are over, but they're still compiling grades and those kinds of things. So, so that happens. And then nurses pinning is on Friday at the Performing Arts Center. And I think you're providing comments. Have we sent you? Okay, we'll make sure. Okay, we will. We've got a template and you can change it if you want to, but it kind of gives you a starting point. So nothing long, it's pretty short, sweet. I want to, to publicly say thank you for the wonderful receptions yesterday. I know the foundation and Shelley's office and the foundation staff, there were Jennifer, lots of people involved in, just celebrating. It was a great opportunity for me to be able to visit with staff and employees and then donors as we went into the evening, and trustees and college supporters. And so it was really, really, special. And I'm just so appreciative. I have a little gift for you too, Linda. Because I won't be here in January and because you've served as the board chair this past year, I wanted to make sure that I was able to present this gift. I mean, it's typical that, we do this at the end of the term of the board chair, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying that.
No, she's going
I'm
for
not
another
saying that,
term.
but I just wanted to make sure that I was able to give you a gift. And so, thank you for your leadership and for all the extra work that you've done. And thank you. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So. Okay, there you go.
Oh, it's glass. I almost knocked it out.
I probably didn't wrap it up very.
Oh, very nice.
You're welcome. Thank you. And then, just one last, as this is my last meeting, I just sort of thought it would be fun. Conservative estimate over the last 11 and a half years, 225 board meetings and work sessions probably. And just vice presidents and exec council meetings, more than 550. And that's just a couple of little things. Who knows how many other meetings, emails, my team would say, we could probably count the number of emails that she sends in the middle of the night really easily. But it's been such a privilege to be in this position, to represent Butler and to do the great work that this college does. It seriously has been the absolute privilege of my career. And people hear me say this all the time, but this is a special college. This culture on this college is unique. It's not present on every other college. And it's the focus that people have on our students and their success and trying to support them and help them reach their educational goals. And it happens at all levels. But it seriously has been an honor every single day to step onto this campus and be at Butler and be working alongside just an absolutely phenomenal team of people. So my life has been blessed and I'm really thankful for it. So thank you for your support, all of you and trustees. So
We're going to miss you very much.
well, I will miss you too. Miss you, not miss meetings. I can say honestly, I think, but yeah, that's the hard part about retiring. You miss your friends, you miss the conversations that you have with people day in and day out. But yeah, I'm going to be spoiling my sweet little granddaughter and chasing my kids and visiting my siblings. And
You
Yeah.
go, girl.
yeah, I'm going to have some fun. So thank you very much, everybody. Yeah.
Last president's
I know, all of these lasts. Yeah.
monitoring reports, we don't have any. So board strategic discussion, issues and opportunities, policy updates, Dr. Shelley.
Yes.
Okay, doctor's about the only thing I haven't been called. Sorry. Okay, so this particular policy, as you know, we've been trying to go through some outdated policies, get them updated, bring them into the current language. And we're going to be republishing the 2022 handbook to bring it up to 2024, 25. Early spring. So that's why you've been seeing so many policies as of late. It's just an opportunity to get some before you, get them updated before we republish the handbook. This particular policy has come into play quite a bit recently as we hire new people. And certainly many times we're bringing people from several states away and those type of things. And we didn't feel like the current interview and moving expenses policy really was adequate in today's dollars. And so we made a few changes and updates. They were originally done by pay grade, and we have since changed the pay grades. And so I made it a little more succinct to being more by position level. And so these are interview expenses that we would cover for dean and department head level and above, not to exceed $750. And that's currently what we do now. Usually covers airfare and maybe one night hotel stay. So we felt like that one was still fairly adequate. It's the moving expenses that we did increase from $1,000 to $2,000 for positions at the dean and department head level, and from $2,000 to $5,000 for positions at vice president level and above. All receipts must be presented for relocation expenses to be approved for reimbursement. I think these are more in line with what we've seen where people are coming from. And, you know, just driving across country can be very expensive with gas. And if you're, you know, out of U-Haul or something like that, and it's a lot of money to get up and move to El Dorado, Kansas. So, or Andover. So we'd like to have the board consider approving this policy for those updates.
And it'll be approval next month.
Yes, this is for discussion. So I ask if you have any questions, comments that you would like to add to the discussion.
Next month. And what we typically do is put it on the consent agenda. You know, if you discuss it and there are any questions, then we'll just go ahead and put it on the consent agenda.
Questions?
Pretty
anyone?
straightforward.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, presidential search update, just briefly, Poly Group has been, and Shelley has basically been going back and forth with Poly Group. We will have a meeting with them at 8 o'clock on Monday to finalize some things so that we're ready to go out of the chute. And I think Angela with the Poly Group is going to join us in our executive session today. So if you have any direct questions, you can talk with her then. I have been asked, the appointment that basically was from Mary Martha's district was not able to serve again. Wasn't even from her district, but just when her district person couldn't. So we are going to see Bernie Spradlin join the search committee, and Dr. Robinson and Dr. Vietti. And then, so we'll be ready to go out of the chute if that's all right with everyone. So. Okay, administrative budget update, Williams.
Share share my screen here with you. Right. So this is the administrative update that we were going to present on the 25th of November. It's the booklet here. I don't know if you have it. I'm going to go through it on the screen here. We do this update about this time every year, mainly just to kind of highlight if there are any changes that we see in the budget picture for the current year, FY25, compared to what we showed you in August when you approved the budget for this year and the mill levy and all that, again, back there in the summer. So we have two sections here. I'll just kind of go down. The first section, what we call the operating budget. And on page 1, we have some notes here. The only thing I would point out here that has changed since the August presentation is the credit hours here for FY25. We're showing an increase that we estimate based on financial numbers for enrollment. We're estimating that we're going to be up about 4.9% in overall credit hours for this year. And I think that's very close to what the figures are that we're getting from IR as well. We originally based the budget for this year on no change from last year. So that's a welcome sign. You can see some negative numbers there for the preceding 4 years. So it's nice to be able to say that we believe that our credit hours are going to be higher this year than they were last year. So moving on, I think I'll go on over to page 2 if you're trying to follow this. Here, and these are our revenue changes. The first column there are the revenue estimates that we gave you back in August, and the right-hand column is the current estimate. So you can see where the changes are, mainly in the tuition and fees section, and the bottom line there on line 10, no, excuse me, line 11, nope, line 10, it says student sources net of waivers. So this is basically the net revenue from tuition and fees. We had estimated 18,222,000, and we're estimating now 18,846,000. So an increase of about 624,000 from that estimate. Again, that coming from that 5% enrollment increase that we had not anticipated in August. A slight change on the Excel and CTE for state sources of about 12,000 in the negative sense. And those are the only real changes. Down on line 23, you can see that we added $1 million of transfers, but really that's just a change in format of how we're going to deal with that. And this note down below explains that, but I'm going to go on over to the expenditure page. And you can see on line 9, and this is page 4, I think. Okay. Yeah, you can see on line 9, it says deferred maintenance fund transfer. So we had talked to the board about this and determined that it was going to be very difficult to get through the operating budget for this year based on the revenue expenditures that we had, and that we felt it was appropriate at this time to be able to look at $1 million that was over in the designated account, bring that back to the operating account to help us get through this year, and then deal with that moving forward in our budget process. So back to the revenue page, we're showing this as in addition to the revenue, but on the next page, we're showing that as a change to the expenditure budget. So not sure this is correct. I'm gonna have to go back and change it because I think that should show up as a reduction to the expenditure budget. So may have to give you an update on this a little later. I have to check that out. So I will do that and report back to you next month. Moving on here to the supplemental part. This is where we have our designated funds. And the first 2 pages there are the designated, what we call general designated accounts on S1, and S2 is money that we had from the HERF funds. That's almost all gone. And on page 3, this is from the PTE funds. And these are funds that various departments control. The revenue comes in for a certain amount and then is used for a particular purpose. The going on then, some of the Other designated funds, just want to point them out so kind of remember where our funds are. Um, Academic program development, you can see there on line 4 or 5 to be determined. So we think we have about 236,000 there still to be spent. And on the strategic initiatives, we have on line 9, and this is on page 5, we're showing around 860,000 that's still to be determined. So that's a balance we have in that fund. Student success money. This is one of the special funds from the state. And we know that we have almost 1.7 million to spend there. You see, we've had planned expenditures down to line 16, and then still to be determined, we have about 700,000 in our to be determined from those state funds. We feel that we need to spend all these funds in the current year, so there will still be efforts made to spend those funds. The next page here is for the facilities fund. And here on line 10, you'll see uses of funds, 789,000, and on line 8, total sources, 798. So we plan to zero that out. And this lower section shows how that those funds will be spent, approximately about $800,000. So moving on, deferred maintenance, and we have really two sections here. So here on the upper section, these are the funds that have been set aside out of the operating fund over time. And you can see on line 5, this is where we're planning on transferring back to the general fund the $1 million that we're putting into the revenues. And then down below, we have the state capital outlay grant. And this is money that we get from the state that we feel needs to be spent every year. And so we're hoping that this is a continued revenue from the state. It's not in statute the way that our operating grant is, but other colleges have been receiving this, so we're fairly confident we'll continue to receive it in the future. The on the next page, the first column here, 25 planned expenses. These are the particular items that we plan on doing this year to spend the 1.6, almost 1.7 million. I think Ireland may have left. No, he's still here, but he's going to have some a big project here on the 700 building that will use a lot of these funds. So that's the plan there for right now. You can also see that in the next couple of years, we have some large expenditures planned here, but right now we don't have the funding for those. That would show up in this 26 column and a 27 column. Now, if we get the money from the state like we did this year, the 1.69 or how much, well, yeah, almost 1.7, that's how we'll fund these projects. If for any reason that money didn't come in, we could have some difficulties. So moving on here, capital project designated reserve. We zeroed that out, moved that money over into the capital project fund. Fleet vehicles, we've changed the way we're purchasing vehicles now. We're leasing them. So we have a little bit of fund balance built up here, and we'll see over the next few years, we have certain money coming out of the operating budget into this designated account, and we'll monitor that. And I think we're going to actually probably have to ask for a little bit of budget increase for next year as we move through there. We have the technology fund budget, which you can see we anticipate having a balance here at the end of the year, about 1.9 million. On the next page, though, you can see that over the next few years, we have some really large expenditures that we'll have to keep funding. And Christina will be reviewing this, but right now we're showing, we're going to need to have over $1 million in expenditures next year in the 26th year, 800,000 in 27 and so forth. So while we have a nice balance there, we have to continue to fund that. A lot of that funding comes from a student fee that we charge our students. And then we have a set aside in case we would have a insurance deductible. That's shown up on page 13. Hopefully we can just carry that over from year to year. We don't plan on putting more money in there. Certainly until maybe we would have to use that if we would have a significant claim that would have a large deductible. Then we have the capital outlay fund. This is the remnants of the mill levy, and that should be zeroed out at the end of this year. There's some carryover money in there, 447,000. We have some potential uses listed here, dorm access controls or El Dorado core switch. So hopefully we'll be spending that money this year on these capital projects. Then we get into campus life funds, and you can see that we have anticipate having a fund balance there at the end of the year of 4.7. So we do have some money here that would be a contingency if we would have a large equipment failure, say a boiler or something, or significant remodeling or something that need to be done to our buildings. Probably not enough to put in a new dorm, which is something that's been on the wish list and the needs list for a long time, but it's certainly a healthy balance to carry forward. And those are the main funds. And really all I want to highlight, I think I should go back probably to the operating budget and explain this item on the expenditures here again. So So this is on the revenue side again. And this is on page 3 of the operating budget. So what we're showing now is $1 million coming into the operating funds from the deferred maintenance fund, which I showed you in the designated funds. So that's an increase to our revenues in the operating funds, a decrease in the fund balance in the designated account. So on the expenditure side, and I kind of had confused myself a little bit when I went through that earlier. What we're doing there is we had originally put this in as a reduction to the expenditures, think that we would uh, decrease things that we needed, capital outlay type items in the operating budget. Now, since we're just going to transfer it in, we're adding that back to the expenditure side. So what we're doing is increasing the revenues by $1 million, increasing the expenditures by $1 million. The bottom line effect of that is zero. And it had been a while since I'd looked at that. So when I went through that earlier, I didn't explain that correctly. So I wanted to go back and clarify that. It really makes no difference to the bottom line on the operating budget. We had treated it as a reduction of expenditures in August, and the easier way to do it is to show it as an actual transfer from the designated account. So I apologize because I did get a little confused when I went through this the first time.
Are we gonna have a presentation a year from now saying our deferred maintenance account is low, we need to raise our mill levy because we have all this deferred maintenance?
Well, we talked about that when we did it back in August. We had $16 million of HERF money that came in, and we made that conscious decision that we needed to do that for this year to give us time to look at how we can go through our expenditure budget. And that's something that we're going to be talking to you about next month, is how we're going to plan on attacking the FY26 budget. So this did create a real challenge for us, and we may have challenges again in the future for that. That was a conscious decision that we shared with the board and the board approved back in August. Now, whether we have to do that again next year is something we're going to have to deal with as we move forward.
Increasing mill levy or moving money out of capital?
I'm talking about moving money that's in designated accounts and moving that back into the operating budget because of our deficit.
Something else?
Right. That $1 million that I'm talking about right here, we had over in deferred maintenance. We made that recommendation partly because we're starting to get money from the state on a regular basis for deferred maintenance. And so back in August, we brought that recommendation to the board that we felt it was prudent on a one-time basis to bring that over back into the operating budget. I will tell you though that as we continue into next year, we may have to look to see if there's something prudent like that again in the next year. But that's another conversation that we'll start having next month.
We do need to take into consideration, though, we made the $1 million transfer. But now we've seen that we do have some additional income under student sources, the 624.
Mhm.
So we need to keep that in mind so that we don't just assume we've got $1.6 million
We also
and then
raised-
the next year not have it.
we
So
also raised $1.7 million taxes, additional taxes. I just
So-
don't wanna
but
throw it in the operating budget, spend it, and then like, oh, we need deferred maintenance and more loan like this account.
right. So we
And our
have to,
savings have gone down
We
over
need-
20% in the last few years.
we need to take that into consideration, but you are going to have a model sometime soon we'll talk about, that says we can play with those numbers, that says if we continue, for instance, with a 5% increase in income or revenues, then, and we change X or Y, then here's how it comes out. And if not, here's how it comes out the other way. So that's where I think we need to be open to talking about the model, so that we can take all these pieces that we look at and put them into the equation to understand how they benefit or not. Does that sound?
It's absolutely correct. And we plan, we talked about the model. We've been talking about it in our senior leadership meetings. It's developed. We're developing a plan that we want to bring forward as administration that will address these items. It's going to be a challenge, quite frankly, as we move forward, but we plan on having that ready to share with the board at the January work session.
But when we canceled last month, you weren't ready then, or you were?
No,
You weren't.
no,
Present
Was
this
this?
information. Yeah,
Okay.
that was what the work session was planned for as well.
And all the expenses you showed us a couple of pages ago with the SHE account and forget the coaches, enrollment coaches, retention coaches, that's designated money from the state. Needs to be spent on only that style of expenditure.
that was the student success funds, right? Which those funds come for the purpose of student success. We have some ability to interpret that, but those funds can't really come into the operating budget.
They were intended, one-time funds intended to address enrollment and retention, student enrollment and
It did
retention.
look like a couple of retention employees, looked like an advisor, $90,000 a year
Uh-huh.
position. Are these going to be future expenses that aren't funded in the future?
Those positions were posted with the understanding that these are grant funds.
Correct.
Yeah. And so as those folks were hired, they understand that we have the funds for this year. There's not a guarantee that we'll have them for next year. So,
I just gives me pause to move money out of designated deferred maintenance when I know I'm going to hear about it over the next 3 years if we're lacking in deferred maintenance. And we need to raise the mill levy because
That's a very legitimate concern.
yeah. And if you look in your supplemental information, we've got, we've got a list of deferred maintenance items
Yeah,
that are
misunderstanding
unfunded of
that-
$7.3 million.
what
So
I'm interpreting, what I'm hearing is we have X number of deferred maintenance money now. We're gonna take $1 million out of that, throw it in the,
We already did.
okay, right, we're throwing it in the main budget to spend as needed if we need to. Instead of holding on to it in deferred maintenance.
That's
And then at the very
basically,
beginning, you showed us we had an additional 2.4 million or whatever. Than we thought we were going to, or additional, at the very beginning, it was a couple $1 million extra, maybe the deferred maintenance contributes to that. It just seems odd to me to take it out of there when we're gonna need it back later. If we have it to spend it. It's easier to spend it if it's in the slush fund than if it's not. It's just.
Okay.
we don't like slush fund terms.
well,
I'll just
Everything
say.
gets moved to whatever bucket, so.
Let me go back to that deferred maintenance page.
It has its own bucket,
I've-
but it can be transferred into a bucket later.
Yes,
that
There's
nine.
an opportunity
Yeah.
to really kind of cover some of this stuff in more detail during the work session when you're looking at
I
the.
just want to maybe
Model
remember this,
two.
we can all remember this next year when we're presented. We've got to raise taxes on people because our deferred maintenance budget is.
I think, just remember it till next month.
Okay, I can do that.
And it's something that I think we'll need to have continuous discussion about all through the spring, because we do have some serious challenges in our operating budget.
Well, and if we don't use it, we can move it back.
You can always move it back, yeah.
Something Kim's brought up several times, like there was spent $2 million on HVAC on a building. If we're at 60% capacity, there's at least have a discussion of, should there be some buildings raised? Move some people around, at least talk about it instead of,
I think when we get to the work session, I have questions after Kent's given us some information. I think we need to bring all those to the table, look at the model, other questions that we have, and start working through it that way so we fully understand. Because the other day I was saying something about, well, if we do this with technology, but really in the bottom line, it didn't make that much difference. And so we need to understand they all have, they interplay. And at least the model gives us if you're up 4.9% here, down here, what happens? Or if that 4.9% becomes zero, then where are we and how far are we off? So
Not
I would-
beat my dead horse, but
Yeah.
I don't have an axe to grind, but when we spend $350,000 to pay the foundation's budget for payroll, they've done nothing but increase in their balance, for their fund balance, but we've declined over 20% in our cash balance. Does that make sense? To pay $350,000 to hand out $800,000 to scholarships? It's just, we have a lot of expenses.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little simplistic
That's
because
because
there's roles where, for instance, my role is with the college. Even though I oversee the foundation, there's roles that we do for the college that's not foundation related. And that's why the college has chosen to pay for those positions, because it's a college kind of activity, not a foundation activity. We wear a couple of hats when we're in these roles.
But at the same time, the foundation exists to supplement and benefit the college.
Absolutely,
You
it
guys
does.
are doing great and your balance sheet is going up and up and up and up, while we are declining.
But we don't
When
have,
they-
we don't have the ability to use those dollars, as unrestricted dollars. We're restricted on how we can use them. So it isn't like adding to our budget. It's just really more focused on the purpose of the funds, which are usually students.
Right.
So we don't have that luxury, even though we increase, we don't have the luxury of using it.
I understand,
for our
but just from
benefits.
my standpoint, I see you about 350 grand to distribute 800 grand. It's a very expensive way to distribute funding, which I know that's super simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so would everyone please send in the items that you have questions on for the work session, please, in advance if you can? Whatever it is, if it's that issue, whatever, and give us a chance to address those at the work session, because tonight he's not going to be able
No,
to
no,
give us any answers, and
I'm just trying to
has a
clarify that I
deadline
was
for
hearing
us.
that it was
Yep.
coming out.
All right. So I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just saying.
He's trying to cut me off, but
No.
that's not it. No.
But one thing I do want to say is we often have this question about the supplemental funds and are they restricted or not restricted? And then we publish a budget of 85 million instead of the other, But it's because we have to allow and give some kind of plan for the funds in case we do want to spend them. Or we can't just say, okay, today we're not going to touch any of these funds and cross our fingers till next year that nothing happens. We have to budget for them and then hopefully not use them and not have the things that we need. Is that correct? I mean, I know,
He needs a different topic.
yeah, but like I said, it's just, I think if we have questions, I mean, like I said, I have 4 or 5 things I'd like to ask. And if you guys do, let's send them in and send them to Jennifer and she will get them to Kent prior to our.
Yeah, and I guess in closing this topic, I just go back and reiterate that the reason we do this update at this time of year is really just to set the stage for the work that we'll do towards the FY26 budget starting in January.
Can I ask one clarifying question?
Certainly.
I don't know what page it was on. It's capital mill outlay, 400 and some $1,000, and it brought up again the campus access. Is that the punch code doorknobs again?
Well,
Is that just asking,
Well,
is this the
well,
capital mill increase we had that sunset?
Yes.
Is this still
Yes.
part of that balance that was
Yes.
never spent?
So that electronic key card that was discussed.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
saying
but there's,
there
oh,
was a
and there's something else.
3-year capital increase of 1.2 mil or whatever,
it's a
5-year.
5-year mill.
but it's sunset, but we still have a balance that's not quite spent yet.
Right.
yeah, because there were projects that we
And
hadn't
they were
completed yet.
designated for certain, it was technology designated capital mill
Mhm.
increase. Definitely.
Okay, if everyone is all right with that, we'd move forward to the board action items. Remember that we had 3 additions. So the farm and ranch certificate is the first item.
I would move to approve that as presented.
And I'll
Second,
second it.
Okay, so no discussion on that.
Or we
If
can
you'll-
discuss it.
We can discuss it
Yeah, I was
now
gonna say,
after
if you
motion.
have-
Who was the second?
I'll
Did you
second
have
it.
a second?
Let's say terminology change to.
So any discussion? If
only-
none, we'll go ahead and vote.
Did we have anybody talk about it? It seemed like there was
Do
a
you want
slight,
them to talk
well,
about
there
it?
was just a slight decrease in enrollments. We're trying to change the name of it to make it more appealing or.
Dr. Okay.
Come on up here to the.
I still want to
podium.
approve it. I just wanted,
Oh, I thought you were just ready to go.
well,
Okay.
So with bucket realignment with KBOR last year, we made some changes to some of our agriculture programs. And one of them was getting rid of the livestock management and merchandising pathway. It just hadn't been a popular pathway. We'd maybe have 2 to 3 students in it. We replaced it with an animal science pathway that's already more popular than it. It kind of left a weird situation with the certificate program that was previously underneath underneath the livestock management and merchandising. And really, with talking to faculty, we didn't know exactly, even as us in agriculture, what exactly is livestock management and merchandising? How is it a little bit different than farm and ranch management? We really wanted to house this back underneath farm and ranch management pathway. It's just a little bit more logical. The major's a little bit confusing to students, and we weren't getting great enrollment. And so we've set it up so that students could take the certificate, and then if they wanted to, they could move on and just finish out the AAS very easily. So it's already kind of set up in that way to work well.
I think that's all.
So, okay. Any other questions? If none, you got the second from Dave.
Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Good,
yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next, professional culinary arts program curricula. And Dr. Linden, do you want to address that, or do you have someone to?
This is a result of a refinement of the curriculum committee, culinary arts curriculum altogether. We are now refining the certificates A, B, and C, so they dovetail smoothly and seamlessly into the AAS. And we're also introducing 3 new courses that are a result of the program acquiring a food truck. And this reflects input from our industry advisory committee. So now there's the option by way of 3 new courses that are specific to the food truck entrepreneurship to be more specific, that gives students options in all 3 of the certificate options as well as the AAS. So now also wanted in terms of streamlining these certificates so that they also dovetail into the AAS, there's been a slight reduction by 1 credit hour in the overall AAS to 61 at the most. So this recommended change reflects the incorporation of the food truck, introduces 3 new courses, provides students with added options with a slight reduction, which is always an advantage for our students by 1 credit hour in the overall AAS.
I think also when we were, if I remember right, acquired the food truck, there was some thought that we'd try and develop a separate food truck certificate that would be kind of separate and standalone, and Regents staff and reviewing and in talking about that really, I mean, and they're doing that with institutions now, really encourage the college rather than a separate certificate, blend those courses within existing certificates and pathways, and then give students the options to take those courses that they want to, rather than create a completely standalone food truck certificate. So.
Right.
So this is also a reflection of KBOR staff's
Yes, it is.
input into these changes.
The initial tech was to develop a freestanding certificate for the food truck, but KBOR feedback and input into the process recommended that we just reflect it as options or 3 different tracks by way of our certificate. So that's what we have before us this evening.
Well, with that, I'll move that the board of trustees approve the
Oh, go ahead, but I had a question.
revised certificate A, B, and C as well as culinary arts AAS degree.
We have a second. Second, any further
I just had that
discussion?
question. So have we or do we currently use the food truck at all?
Well, the food truck has been used as a wonderful marketing device right now. So it's been at many events, but now with the approval this evening of this curricula,
Has there be any food prepared in it? Has it been selling any
It-
food out of it?
It has to be specifically licensed to do
Yes.
that. And
I
this,
understand.
this curriculum approval will allow us to do that then.
exactly.
Has it been used or is it currently being used to prepare any food? I know it advertised our program, but we just haven't utilized it yet. All I'm trying to.
That's the
I
Phyllis,
know I know that I've been to.
yeah, for fundraising, yeah.
Truck has been. The summer program of Farm to Fork, where the culinary arts program helps out the charcuterie program. The food
Mhm.
truck has been used.
Yeah, as is, so in terms of marketing, it's been used, absolutely.
Side of it. Yeah, or are we gonna retrofit it a little bit like in this?
But it doesn't need any retrofitting. It's ready to go in terms of now this approved curriculum. In,
Yeah.
can't,
Right, but individuals have food trucks all over the place. I'm just getting clarification that we haven't used it yet as a food truck to sell food out of with food prepared by our students yet.
yet.
At like.
I'm just saying for the students to gain revenue and experience.
Right.
Like,
It has been here, like at IDD, our faculty development team has used it for that purpose. It's been used at the athletics golf tournament. Again, like Dr. Linden said, more of a marketing thing than anything.
but
So-
with this, is the intention to get kids in there to a location to actually.
Yes,
like a food truck.
yes. Hence the name of the certificate, entrepreneurship. So these are 3 new courses that are now built into the curricula for that very purpose. Correct. Yes. And build those entrepreneurial skills they need, right? Exactly, exactly.
That's correct. We did not have the license to actually sell food out of the truck.
Correct.
The
That-
license that we had was to do our donations and stuff.
Mhm.
Appreciate the clarification, but it's not.
Right,
So-
right. So the exciting part about this is here again, we're introducing new curricula that reflects needs of the industry by way of the entrepreneurship business approach and exposes students to both the business aspect and the food service aspect.
Okay, any other questions? If none.
Trustee Goods,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes,
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
okay, 9C sabbatical leave request for Dr. Sater, page 58.
All right, Mary, what you got?
Well, I have some questions. First off, on sabbatical leave, are they paid their regular salary?
Yes, I mean, there are a couple of options. They can be paid, well, actually Camille's here, so she can help answer these questions, but according to the master agreement, they can either be paid their full salary or half, correct? Depending, right. Half, right.
Okay. I see no problems with Tubner's and is it Trinary?
Trenery.
Trinary. Trinary. I think they affect more students, especially with their English courses. But I have a problem with Saters. The way he explains it, he believes that he can use some of this experience in the classroom. Maybe he can, maybe he can't, but I don't see it being where more students are affected by that. So in other words, what I would like to do is to approve Tubner's and Trinary's sabbatical leave request only.
You've got it in there, just separate action item.
Yes, so you got,
Oh,
No,
well, that's
see,
my whole
that's
thing.
your-
That wasn't a motion.
Right, you're explaining why you did that.
Mhm. I mean, I just can't see where it would affect many students with what Seder wants to do.
Absolutely.
Well, for the sabbatical review committee, when we look at those, there's 9 different areas that we look at to rank the sabbaticals. And only one of them is the one that specifically mentions students, and it is the sabbaticals effect as far as it being beneficial to students and or faculty, staff in the community. So for those 3 different areas, they're all the same question. And we did feel that it was in some ways beneficial to the students, but there were obviously 8 other areas that we rated his sabbatical highly on that weren't specifically related to students in the classroom.
My thing is that the other ones are for English, and I understand what they're trying to do is solve the strategy. But with Seders, it's an option to belong to KNEA. And I understand he's trying to find out more techniques, but at the same time, I'm just not feeling.
Did
good
you
about-
read the topic for action? Okay, I was just curious because they did go through each of the 9 criteria that would make a sabbatical worthwhile and relevant and useful to the university or to the college. And I thought they were all covered in there. So I don't know if there's any other specific topics of the 9 that you had a problem with.
I just don't think it's going to affect a large number of students. While the other 2 are going to hit almost every student with English.
Okay, I can see how you would think that. I disagree, but it is just one of the 9 topics, so I'm not sure. For the sabbatical committee, we would not see that as a reason to deny a sabbatical.
I guess my thinking would be if there's a committee for such things and 3 have been approved, or the 3 sabbaticals have been approved by the committee, I feel like either all of them should be approved or none of them. I'm not.
Have you read it?
Yeah, yes, but the thing is, it's not, I don't really agree in sabbaticals, period. Like, I don't believe in a job that you get paid for if you're not actually doing the job. When I go do CE, nobody pays me for it. When I try to level up my job, nobody pays me anything. So I'd prefer to vote no on all of them. I don't see any point in singling out Seder. To me, it's either you're for all of them or against all of them, personally.
Is this more, I guess this is this more of a benefit of being a professor and a member of the union that you have an option of the sabbatical at some point? But how close to Dr. Sader's retirement will the sabbatical be? How many years?
It's all laid out in our master agreement. So you have to be a full-time faculty member for 7 years, and then you have the option to apply for sabbatical. And if you do take the sabbatical, you're obligated to stay at the university for 2 years after your sabbatical.
Paying for a year off or half a year off to get 2 more years of free teaching resulting from the sabbatical. At
Staff
minimum.
have access to sabbaticals too, through the employee handbook.
And I
Yeah.
don't have it all.
No, I know. I'm was just clarifying that it's not just faculty,
And it's not
full-time faculty,
only,
but
it's not
yeah.
only union members, it's other.
Any faculty member, any
Yeah.
staff member can apply for, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
sabbatical.
odd because I think
But
that's
you
the
don't
first
have
time I've ever
an
seen it.
employee
That-
to apply.
Okay.
And to me, he's using the union to apply for this to bring more information into his classroom, which I don't see happening.
Is there, is it just a coincidence that we've got 3 suddenly in 1 year? And I don't know that I've ever even seen a request
No,
like this
We
at all.
had something.
We had several.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We had 2 sabbaticals this semester that were approved last semester. And there are. Yes, yeah, they weren't pulled last time. But we have 2 sabbaticals available each semester, and if they're not taken, and they haven't been taken for many years, I think, prior to last semester, I think it had been a handful of years since we've had anybody apply. If you don't use them, they can build up, but only a little bit. So typically we have two sabbaticals that are allowed per semester.
In general, overall.
Yes, every semester. There were 2 that were not used in spring of 2024. And so both of those were allowed to carry over. So we could have had a total of 4 sabbaticals for spring of 2025. Since we only had 3 applied and approved, the 4th remaining one is expired.
Yeah, they can only carry them over within that next year, correct? Yeah.
If y'all want
See-
to hear, if y'all want to chuckle, I don't want to micromanage this part of it.
I'm,
Merry Christmas. That's my position.
I think, we're told many, many times not to micromanage, and let the, powers that be that go through this and approve this work. So I would actually move to approve all 3 sabbaticals as presented and
Well, they're separate
Okay.
motions.
Okay.
So
separate.
the
All
first one-
approved or
9C.
motion to approve Terry Sater's sabbatical to start with.
I have a motion
I would second.
and a second. Any further discussion or questions? If none, we'll vote.
Okay, trustee Good,
No.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
No.
trustee Shearer,
I'm gonna vote yes.
trustee Smith.
Wow.
Wow.
We have to get 4 votes to pass, though, don't we?
So you're the deciding vote? Is that?
Oh, do we
is
have a
that
simple
enough?
majority to pass, or do we?
No,
need
you have
4?
4. You have to have 4.
So we can't pass.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you
If
can.
you
You
vote
would be
yes, you
for.
can.
We have 1.
2.
Oh. I'll say yes. I don't want.
So.
4-2.
So 9D then is the sabbatical leave request for Tubner.
I move
Okay.
that we approve his sabbatical leave request for Tubner.
I'd second.
Any discussion or questions? If not, take a vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
I also move to approve Trinary sabbatical leave request.
I'd second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? If none, we'll take a vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. I would move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Any discussion or other items? If none, we'll take a vote.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, key performance indicators update. Gannon on page 114.
I don't think anything's changed, has it, Jenna, from last
Okay.
year last time to this month? So,
Okay. Monthly statement of revenues and expenditures was reviewed earlier. Were there any questions on that? Reviewed by the finance committee ahead of time, but are there any questions on that at all? Okay, if none, we'll go to thank you notes
have a thank you note at the bottom of page 120, or a couple of them on page 122. So you can read through those
and then board calendars.
Yep. and updated.
Okay.
And could we put on the agenda either for the work session or for in January to vote on whether we want to live stream our meetings or not? We've kind of
So-
heard several different and we probably need a month to talk about it before we vote on it. So probably in a work session.
Well, yeah, either that or we can put it on as a discussion item in January, whichever one you want.
It doesn't
You
matter.
can't vote on anything in the work session unless you
Right.
notice it up as a special meeting. So it
Okay,
would
let's-
make sense. You want to
As
discuss
a
it in
discussion
January?
item for a month.
Do you want it on the January agenda?
I would like to see it on the January agenda.
Okay.
We don't want to have a knockdown drag out about it. We can just film it, archive it, so someone can access it. Public can access it, because we're publicly funded, we're not a private institution. Figure in student loans, we're probably over 80% public funds. So long as public has access at some point somehow to go back and either watch the video or see a AI written generated transcript of every word. Because I don't personally, just minutes, years later, looking up online, don't tell the story of what actually happened. It's too general. But I like having a video archive where I can actually, like I make notes in here like, hey, 5:05, we discussed this. So if I'm looking back through here a year later, I can go on YouTube and say, oh, that's what I said, because I remember it wrong. Or
I'll ask Jackie. There was quite a bit of discussion at the KACC meeting about this. We're one of only 3 institutions still live streaming our meetings. I'll sit down with Jackie and provide her some of that information. There are some, potential problems, even with like, because people now are using automatically generated AI transcription services, to transcript minutes and things like that. Heather alerted us to a number of things. And so I'll sit down with Jackie. We'll get some legal, things to fit into that. So you have some discussion information for January, but it'll help. I think it'll help clarify some of the concerns that people now have about live stream and about the automatically, in artificial intelligence related transcripts and some things like that. So we'll get some of that information together for
I don't have
January.
a dog in the fight for live stream. I just have a dog in the fight for a record of what we said and how
archives.
the tax dollars were spent with an archive that the
Yeah.
public can
Yeah.
access.
Yeah.
So I don't,
You know,
I
and
don't, I
for
don't need to be to try to
can't-
be
yeah.
persuaded that our competition's gonna steal whatever if they want us to.
No, there's some legal concerns now that relate to some of that information being available, especially if in open discussion and live stream discussion, people make misstatements or incorrect statements or some things like that that can, could legally come back and be used against you because they're recorded and because they've been live streamed. So we'll pull some information together for you so you can understand why some of the other institutions have gone away from it. Kansas Open Meeting Act only requires that you that you notify your open meeting and that you have your door open. We started live streaming and Zooming with COVID. And so many of the entities have moved away from it now because people are meeting again. So we'll get some information together for you.
That's what I'm trying to clarify. I don't want to take increased money from the taxpayers and then not allow them to see what happened with it. And all they have access to is the generic minutes later. If they don't actually come to the meeting, which they don't have time to come, that's why we're here. And if I could bring up one thing since Jay just did, in the future, if it's possible, it would be a little bit of a tweak, but when we get percentage of this or X number of that, if we could be presented both, it would clarify a lot. Like we went up 4% in this area, which equals this many hours, and we went up 2% of the budget here, which equals, because you have to have both numbers to get a percentage or a total number, but if you're only presented one or the other in life, you know that you're not presented the whole story, but if you see both numbers, you're like, oh, that's what that means, no questions. And so it would be nice to not have to do the legwork of like, are you telling me this is a percentage because the number's small and the number was smaller, which went up a small amount, which makes a big percent, or is it just, here's the 2 numbers and the numbers?
Okay,
But
because 2% of 8.
Yeah, it's just a percent change
2% of
formula.
800.
Yeah.
we get presented,
It's a
we went up
percentage.
66%.
Oh, I
in
see what you're
this.
saying.
It's like,
But
but we added.
How many?
It's just
So
a
it
percent
seems
change
good on my
formula.
end,
Yeah.
but we went up 2 students for 66% increase. You're like, okay, cool.
Okay, I got it.
It's just,
Okay, I'll go through all of our things for January and work session at the very end. Are we ready to go to executive session? Is anyone willing to make a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move the board recess into executive session for discussion of personnel matters relating to non-elected personnel, which if discussed in open meeting may violate their right to privacy, to include the board, Dr. Kim Kroll, Shelley Stoltz, and Jennifer Hartman Weiss,
Oh,
and Angela.
Crowbar.
The meeting will resume in the Dankert trustee boardroom within 60 minutes.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion second. Any discussion?
I would amend it to go less for Kim, but I'm not going to because I'll jinx it.
It's all right. I've got till
60
7.
minutes is good.
I've got till 7.
We've learned our lesson.
I don't think it'll take 6.
No,
Okay, so.
Trustee
if there's
Good?
No discussion.
Trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
yes.
Okay,
Thank you all for the Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
How's
everybody.
marriage?
Okay, 5:50.
Is she?
They'll announce.
But she's still
She's still working.
working on stilts and so I'm trying to, I guess today and tomorrow, or today and tomorrow, she's painting.
And take a
Trying to find
Did you
easier
get my
job
text
for her.
about tomorrow? That I can't do tomorrow morning.
Okay.
That, but I could do tomorrow evening. Thanks, everybody. From like 6 to 8 though.
I probably could.
It's
My job today,
Christy, how are you?
Well, it's.
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, we went into executive session at 6:09 and came out at 7:01. Before we didn't have any binding action to bring forward. And before we finish, I'd just like to go through kind of the things that we identified during our meeting. We should get the KACC official report at our January Board of Directors meeting. Keep in mind that the KACC meeting in Topeka is in April. We said that we would, we would vote on the policy updates at our January 2025 meeting that were presented tonight. And we would discuss at the January 2025 meeting the topic of live streaming, or we would discuss it in January's Board of Directors meeting, vote on it again then in February. And then the last thing was just at our January work session. We're going to go over the financial model. And also prior to that, send our questions to Jennifer of things we want Kent to be able to explain better or more in depth. And then, and of course, one of those topics is that capital mill levy outlay that we're that $1 million back and forth. Question the things that are still left on that, those bonds that were passed, key card and something else is on those.
Yeah, capital outlay.
Capital outlay. And then also to talk about and define a little bit better that when a percentage is given to define a percentage of what? Is it 3% of 100,000 or 3% of 10? So that we have a better sense of that.
So you know the numerators and
Yeah.
denominators.
Okay, was there anything else that you wanted added to meetings?
That's what I had written down.
Okay,
Making sure. Just kidding.
yeah, and on top of all that, make it really short, so that means I'll fumble around a lot and try to keep you guys going. Okay, with that, unless there's something else, I don't, some of those other questions we said we would do at the end of each meeting, I don't think we're having any issues.
Well, in January, we'll have organizational.
You'll have the
things.
organizational stuff too. That's just standard for January.
Oh, January organization. So January, select a chair. Another.
And I'm hoping that you'll take on another term.
So with that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungard is absent, trustee Rhodes is absent, trustee Jolly,
Yes.
trustee Hueslick,
Yes.
trustee Shear.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.